Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I said I would put out a better tutorial, and so I will. So, sort of going through what we went through last time. First of all, you need to install Git. You can do that from git-scm.com/downloads. I'll have it linked in the description. This essentially allows you to download the Git repos that basically, make a whole thing compatible with Bonelabs. So, we're going to make a new project. We have to make sure that it is in 2021.3.5f1. Otherwise, when you export it, when you export the palette, it will not show up, or it will show up, but it won't do anything. So, you then select 3D HDR or URP. So then we'll go ahead, hit create project. Let that sort of resolve. It'll take a second, and so we'll skip ahead to when it opens up. Something that I realized I didn't mention before. When you are installing Unity 2021.3.5f1, you need to have some extra modules included that are not selected by default, so you'll have to go in on the sort of menu that shows up when you're installing a new install of Unity, and you need to make sure that you have the Android build support and all of its sub-items selected, along with the Windows build support IL2CPP. And like I said, I had to download it for some reason, but Unity 3D URP project. If you're building for Quest 2, go to File, Build Settings, Android, and then switch platform. I'm not going to do that because I'm not building for Android. Okay, so then you need to import the required packages from Package Manager. I'll have them linked in the description. So what you gotta do, all you have to do is you go to Window, you go to Package Manager, and then you go ahead, you copy your Git link from the website or the comments, not the comments, the description. Hit add package by git URL, you paste it in, make sure there's no white space at the end, and then add. And then you do that for the custom render pipeline. You do that for then specifically Stress Level 0's custom render pipeline. You're installing the core, and then you're installing like the sort of custom render pipeline on top of that. And then, last but definitely not least, you install the Marrow SDK. Alright, once you have all of that installed, what you want to do is you want to go to Stress Level 0, Void Tools, and then Validate Marrow Project Settings. Hit Fix All. It basically goes through all your settings, makes sure they work together and play nice. And then you hit Cool. And now for the actual fun part that you all are here for. The actual character. So, acquire your character model. This can be either one you make or one you get off the internet. God, I sound like a boomer saying that. Anyways, they use the Unity Mechanism animation system. Mixamo is compatible with that, although if you're using Mixamo, do be careful and double check that you have the correct number of finger bones. I've ran into some trouble with that. That's why in my last version of this tutorial I had to switch out models halfway through. You need to have at least 3 fingers. You need to have chest bones, shoulder bones, neck bones, and you either need to have 2 eyes, or we will, in our case, we'll be adding a eye center override transform, which is super easy to do. Alright, so all you gotta do is you gotta import your asset. So, for example, I've got my texture and I've got my model. We load them in. We open this model and we go to animation type and we switch it to humanoid. That's very important. From there, make sure that avatar definition is created from this model, and then we go ahead and hit apply. Then we hit configure, because we're going to go through and we're going to make sure all the bones work correctly. So head, so we are going to have to add eye center because there's no eye bones. That's fine. All of our fingers on both of our hands are mapped correctly. If not, you will see that these parts are just empty, or some of them are empty. Again, you only need 3 of them, although I'm pretty sure ideally what you want to have is your thumb, your ring finger, and your pointer finger, which I believe is called the index. I don't remember. Anyways, besides that, we have our character now in Unity. So next up, what you want to do is you want to drag your character into Unity, set their position to 0, 0, 0, because that's just the center of everything, and you want to make sure that your character is centered, which, you know, I guess is somewhat self-circular. You want to adjust their scale if you gotta. So I'm going to turn on constrict proportions, and we're going to scale her up. She's like 7.5 feet tall. So yeah. Boink. That seems about correct. Now you might notice that this character is extremely shiny. And I don't know why, but for some reason the default sort of Bonelabs texture model thing goes for this extremely shiny character, which is somewhat distressing. So I actually do have some maps I'm going to import. Anyways, sorry about that. Making sure my character was sufficiently tall, because she's my D&D character and I want her to be her in-game height. Anyways, okay, so jumping back to the actual Unity stuff that isn't just getting your character the right size. So what you want to do now is, now that you have all your bones set up, all your materials set up, you want to grab your character and then drag it back into the project window at the bottom, and you click Create Original Prefab. Now, the reason that you need to make it into a prefab is because if you don't make it into a prefab, what happens is, essentially, you can't put it in a crate, because the crate Padlet system relies on it being a prefab, and so you can't just have it as an asset floating around, essentially. So now on your base avatar, sort of, your root object, hit Add Component, Avatar. This red dot means that there is no eye point yet, which we will get to. To create eyes, what you want to do is you want to go to the root item, and then you're just going to click create empty eyes. Then all you need to do is you just need to drag this empty to the middle of your character's face. Alright. From there, you click on the avatar, scroll back up, get to the root object. We go ahead and drag the eyes object onto eye center override. And then it allows us to edit the actual colliders, which is important for making your character feel immersive in-game. You technically can leave it as is, but it gets real janky real quick if you don't. So all you pretty much have to do is adjust these little handles to match your character's like head, essentially. Head, body, all of them. So yoink, yoink. There isn't much for soft bodies yet besides the jiggle physics, which is a little unfortunate, but they said they are coming out with more soon. So we don't really know when, but you know what, it's okay. And then these arrows on the side allow you to offset. So, for example, her arm goes down a little bit here, so we can move that way. We can keep sliding these around. And then we do the same for the torso. If your character does have titty bones, mine doesn't, but I'll show you how to do it anyways. You can essentially edit the soft body physics with this, sort of line everything up with where the booba are, and then, again, if your character is rigged for it, mine is not, you should be able to have the jiggle physics. Once you get all that done, what you want to do is you save your changes. You go to Stress Level 0, Void Tools, Acid Warehouse. There's no palettes. You hit Create Palette. You rename your palette to whatever you want, essentially the mod pack to be. It explains this in-game if you actually look around the environment, but there's a gunfight going on at that point, so I won't blame you if you haven't seen it. Essentially how it works is each individual asset is called a crate, and it is delivered on a pallet. So, for example, the title of this pallet will be Blake Avatar, and the pallet author will be me. So, hit create. This creates the pallet for us to put the crates on. So we go to Blake, and you'll see there's no, where first to do that. That's because you have to go to your actual pallet. You click Add Crate. You crate type Avatar Crate. Crate title Blake. Then you pull up your character prefab that you have created. Blake. You hit Create. Now, if you want to have multiple characters or multiple items, understandable, that's why this system is here. Essentially, you can add more crates to the palette. I don't know if there's a limit. I haven't found it yet. So once you have all of that, in the actual prefab, under the avatar crate, you click Generate Packed Assets. Gives you a little turnaround, or a little rough preview of the model. And then, what you do is you just click this button right here. It'll have whatever the name of your palette is. You click Pack, and then it'll take a second. You save, and then it just loads for a bit. Sort of while we're doing this, we're going to pop open our sort of directory. We're going to go to your username, you go to app data, local low, stress level 0. Bonelab mods. You want to have that just open. You just want to have that open. Alright, we're back. So, once it has finished packing, it will actually bring up this file explorer. Oh god, what's happening? Oh, maybe it got mad because I was wiggling it. Literally all you need to do, take it, drag it into your folder. Now, if you are installing it on a Quest, what you need to do is you need to connect your link cable, or really any USB-C as long as it's a high enough bitrate, to your computer. You go to this PC, Quest 2, internal shared storage, Android, data, com.stresslevel0.bonelab, files, mods, and copy the folder generated during the pack panel process to it. And once you have that dragged over, it should literally be as simple as you close out of it, you launch your Oculus, and you jump just straight into the gaming, which we will do now. Okay, so as you can see, we've got one functional avatar. Scales correctly. Unlike the last one, you can actually use everything, because she's actually, while very large, she is not quite as large as tall. And so, again, I kind of talked about this last video because I ended up going outside of it and it started causing problems. Make sure to stay within a reasonable size range, because if you don't, you end up with things like this, where the gun is the size of your ribcage, and you can barely use it. But, aside from that, I hope this tutorial, oh god. Okay, besides that, I hope this tutorial was helpful. I know the last one kind of sucked, so I kind of threw this one together. If you want to know how I got this model, it is a Hero Forge model. It's like $7 to make a character and download it. What else? There's a lot of ways you can get models. You know, obviously you can pay an artist. You can Hero Forge, Vroid, whichever. Hair physics, I don't know if they're a thing yet in Bonelabs. So if they aren't, you are going to have some problems if you have long hair on your Vroid model. Besides that, should be good to go. Hope this was a helpful tutorial, and happy bone labbing, I guess. Bye!